Imagine a world without logic, without a way to distinguish truth from falsehood, without a structure of thought to separate belief from reality. That was the world before Aristotle. In the 4th century BCE, people still reasoned with emotion, not reason. Debates were directionless battles of words. Conclusions were born from conviction, not evidence. Then came Aristotle, a student who refused to remain Plato's shadow. He saw the world not as a mystical riddle, but as a system that could be understood through reason. He looked at words, sentences, and ideas, and asked one simple yet shattering question. What makes something true? That question gave birth to an instrument, logic. Aristotle designed the syllogism, a way of thinking in which truth was no longer determined by belief, but by structure. If all men are mortal and Socrates is a man, then Socrates must be mortal. Simple. But from that simplicity, modern thought was born. Aristotle's logic became the bridge between philosophy and science. He made humanity not only think, but think in order. From that moment on, every debate, every theory, every scientific conclusion walked the path he paved with ink and pen. Thousands of years have passed. The world has computers, algorithms, artificial intelligence, but all of them still operate on the structure Aristotle created. Every great revolution begins with one simple act of courage, the courage to say, "My teacher is wrong." In the grand halls of Plato's Academy, Aristotle sat among young philosophers, listening as his teacher spoke of the world of forms, a perfect, unseen realm that governed all things. But within him a quiet unrest grew. How could something real, a tree before his eyes, be nothing more than a shadow of an invisible idea? He began writing secret notes, challenging his teacher's concepts. He whispered to himself, "Truth is not up there. It's here in the world beneath our feet." Day by day, that thought grew into a new system, logic. He began mapping the architecture of human reasoning, premise, conclusion, cause and effect. He built a way for the world to be explained, without myth, illusion or blind faith. When Plato created the world of ideas, Aristotle created the tool to understand the real world, and that changed the entire course of human thought. Many think logic was born from science, but in truth, science was born because of logic. Aristotle realized that the world was full of confusion not because humans were foolish, but because they didn't know how to think correctly. He began forming the principles of logic from the simplest truth. If A is true and B is true, then C must be true. Not opinion, not belief, but consequence. From this came the syllogism, the pattern of thought that would become the backbone of science. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. It sounds trivial, but within that simplicity lies immense power. Aristotle taught humanity to think like a truth machine, not through emotion, but through structure. With that, he wrote Organon, a collection of logical works that would guide universities for 2 millennia. Every computer algorithm today is nothing but an evolved syllogism. Aristotle invented logic, and the world invented machines to imitate it. Humans can lie, but logic never can. Aristotle believed the human mind was like architecture. Every idea had foundations, walls, and a roof. If one part was weak, the whole structure would collapse. He mapped human reasoning into systems, deductive and inductive. Deduction from great truths to small conclusions. Induction, from small observations to universal laws. He gave humanity a bridge to cross from feeling to truth. With logic, he turned debate into discipline. He taught, think like a builder, not a dreamer. Aristotle's logic is not merely knowledge. It is a mirror. Every time we think clearly, we are seeing his reflection in our own minds. In the hands of the wise, logic is light. In the hands of rulers, it can be a sword. Aristotle's work spread swiftly across Greece. Kings, orators, and philosophers used them to argue, even to justify power. Logic, born to seek truth, was now used to defend authority. But Aristotle knew logic was not guilty. It was only a tool. Like a knife, it could heal or harm. From that realization, he understood one thing. Humanity needed not only a way to think, but a reason why to think. Logic without morality is destruction. Aristotle did not just invent logic so humans could think correctly. He did it so that humans would learn why truth must be pursued. Time may erase names, but not ways of thinking. Centuries after his death, Aristotle's manuscripts were found in the Library of Alexandria. Scholars copied and translated them, spreading his thought through the Arab world and Europe. From Baghdad to Cordoba, from Cairo to Paris, every philosopher, scientist, and thinker wrote in Aristotle's shadow. Ibn Sina, Averroes, Thomas Aquinas. All were students of a teacher who had been dead for millennia. Aristotle's logic became the heart of universities, from Islamic madrasas to Oxford and the Sorbonne. As ages changed and faith shifted, one thing stayed alive: Aristotle's way of thinking. When the world drowned in dogma, only one thing dared to resist: logic. The Middle Ages were a dark time, when faith swallowed reason. But behind the walls of churches, Aristotle's works were smuggled, whispered in secret, debated in the shadows. Thinkers like Aquinas and Bacon revived them, defying authority with sharp words. Truth does not fear examination. Aristotle's logic became the first spark of the Renaissance, the age when humanity began to think, to study, to observe, to question again. Without that logic, science would never have risen from the grave of fear. Aristotle died as a Greek philosopher, but was reborn as Europe's light. Man thinks with logic but acts with heart. Between the two, an eternal war rages. Aristotle knew that logic wasn't everything. He saw how humans were often defeated by anger, love, and fear. So he created ethics, a guide to reconcile thought and feeling. He wrote, "Virtue is the balance between two extremes. Logic without empathy is cold. Emotion without logic is blind." He wanted humanity not just to be thinkers, but to be wise. The modern world may have algorithms and reason, but without Aristotle's wisdom, logic is nothing but a soulless machine. Thousands of years after Aristotle, humanity created a new being that could think without feeling. Artificial intelligence, algorithms, systems that think in zeros and ones. The world calls it a technological revolution, but Aristotle would recognize it instantly, because binary logic is merely a modern form of his syllogism. If A, then B, if not B, then not A. That's how machines think, exactly as Aristotle taught humans to think thousands of years ago. Today, the world lives under the law of his logic. Computers, law, business, even social media. We are the unconscious heirs of the method he forged with ink and intellect. Aristotle didn't just teach humans to think. He created the blueprint for all thought, human and machine alike. We may no longer speak his name, but every time we say because, we are speaking with his mind. Aristotle's logic is not just theory, it is the foundation of modern life. When we make decisions, weigh causes and effects, or seek evidence, we walk his path. Schools, universities, courts, laboratories, all stand upon the structure of thought he built. The world changes, language evolves, but the structure of the human mind remains Aristotelian. We don't need to remember his face to feel his influence, for he has slipped into our collective consciousness, becoming the very way we think, a pattern that transcends awareness itself. Aristotle is not immortal because he is worshipped. He is immortal because every logical thought in this world is an echo of his voice.